very nice to actually share with you my take on the innovation space in the financial services industry, challenges, issues faced by the banks, share with you my observation of some of the leading players in the financial industry, how they actually handle innovation, how they got it right, and how they got it wrong. What comes to your mind when you think innovation? Right? Think about it. What comes to your mind? Obviously, Apple, right? You think about iPhone, you think about iPad. You think about Google's, obviously Google Glass, right? Latest. Just to share with you, 20 years ago, when I first joined IBM, IBM came up with the concept of the Google Glass. I actually personally experienced it. It took 20 years to innovate, and possibly IBM sold that technology to Google. Right, so when we talk about innovation, what comes to your mind? Apple, Google, Samsung, right? The Galaxy. We talk about all the digital companies in the world. Possibly, they are more innovative than anyone that we can think of, right? Possibly 3M and possibly Virgin, right? You may have your own view as to which other companies are actually involved, but none of us think about bank as being an innovator, right? How many of you think that bank are innovative? Question is, what is it to innovate in the bank? How many of you work in the bank? I'm sure I don't offend you, because there was one I actually made a presentation, and after presentation, one of the audience pulled me and said, if you ever deliver such thing, I'll beat you up. Okay, so please don't do that, right? But seriously, right, when we talk about innovation, every time you read about a particular article, none of us have, possibly maybe only me, right, think that bank is actually part of the innovation so-called think tank. But if you look carefully, banks are getting into it, right? They're getting into it, it's just that we are not being exposed to it, right? So most of you will say yes. Maybe you think banks are part and parcel of the innovation space. Some of you may say no, but some of you may say maybe. Okay. The world, right? The world waits eagerly for the next innovative product from Apple. When Apple came out with iPhone 4 and then 4S and then recently 5, they were all very disappointed because there's something innovative about it, right? But we're all waiting for all possibly tech-related companies to come up, right? The next innovative product. But in the banking industry, we don't wait for them to innovate. We're waiting for the next financial crisis, right? You can see the two contrasting industries. On one hand, we look at the Googles and the Apple, we're looking at all the positive side of it. But we look at the bank itself, we're waiting for the next financial crisis. I have gone through the financial crisis from 1997. We find that the financial crisis is floating from one region to another, right? In the 1997, it was Asia. They went to US. They went to Europe. I think it's coming back to Asia again, right? I remember in 1997, they're saying that why Asia had that financial crisis is because the black star, those who actually see fortune, are hovering over the Asian sky. So I'm not sure whether the black star is coming back to us. Okay. But the question here is basically true, right? In a world that we live in, we never look at banking as in the innovation space. Okay. So there is two contrasting worlds, right? On one hand, we look at the tech company as call them as innovator, but when it comes to the banking, we call them the crisis creator, right? And of course, I'm doing justice to those of you who work in the bank. Through the lenses of the innovator, right? If you look at lenses through the lenses of the innovator, you look at the way they actually look at their business. Their business is lifestyle, right? If you look at Starbucks itself, Starbucks is not selling coffee. Starbucks is selling lifestyle. Okay. Uniqlo, you know Uniqlo, right? That Japanese company. Uniqlo said, my future competitors is Apple. Okay, because they are going to compete in the lifestyle space, not in the product space. So through the lenses of the innovators, their point of view, their vision, and their business philosophy is about lifestyle, it's about creating excitement, it's about creating emotional attachment to the products itself. Okay? And also creating a culture, anticipation, right? Keen anticipation as to the next product itself, and the customization. Right? That is through the lenses of the innovator. They look at the way they run their business from a different angle. But from a bank perspective, right? If you are a banker, you're sitting in front of me, you basically look at it as totally different business philosophy. You look at your business philosophy as trust, okay, service. You look at it managing expenses, managing profit margin, operational resilience, managing risk, fraud, and security. It's a totally different world. Right? Where's the innovation space? None. Right? There's none. And you cannot blame them. Why? Right? The question which I've titled my presentation, how innovative can bank be? There are many questions that needs to be asked. Can bank be innovative? Right? I don't have enough of airtime to answer all the questions, so I just pose you questions. Innovation at the wrong place, right? Innovation is not visible. Innovation is not necessary in the banking space. And finally, not enough effort is put into the banking space. Right? So the question here, possibly, if we try to address some of these sub-questions, possibly we'll find the answer. Banks are lacking behind innovation. There are many reasons, as this is an expression of what I just said. Most of the time, they like innovation, but it's a very unstructured approach. You approach any of the bank, you don't have a very structured approach in terms of innovation. It is always very piecemeal. Bankers lack patience. And leading innovators also overcome some of the challenges. I think internal politics is one of the biggest challenges in terms of innovation. Right? They also have no tolerance for ROI justification. Many times, if you're a CIO, or if you're a CEO or CFO, the first thing is show me the money. Right? How do I monetize the innovation that you actually want to do? It's very difficult. The moment you find that you're being challenged, the banker who actually is the sponsor of any innovation product will never push through, because this is very difficult to justify. Okay, so these are some of the challenges that most leading innovators will try to overcome it, right? And importantly, the ability to accept failure. Leading innovators also have a roadmap when it comes to innovation. This is possibly starting with statement of challenge, vision, idea exploration, assessment, development, implementation, validation, fine-tuning, and finally, when the tire hits the road. Okay, so they have actually a roadmap itself, very structured. So in summary, for banks to actually embrace innovation, there is a need to change the mindset and have the culture to do so. I'm not aware of many banks that have that so-called innovative mindset and culture. Very few, right? I think for those of you who knows, you probably know who are they. They must have structures and process in place. You need sponsors and innovation catalysts. Right? That's very important. But in the same breath, right, you need to identify the big issues and hurdles that you will need to face. When you innovate a product, you possibly have to identify them up front. You're going to face legal issue, audit issue, control issues. You're going to involve all the stakeholders early. Right? If you're going to involve them very late, by the time you actually engage them, you get killed. The product or your innovation will get killed. And then beware of innovation killer, not killer innovation. All right? These are the people who will tell you that it will not work. I know organizations where they face a lot of innovation killers. So what they did is basically they actually form secret innovation team, right? They lock them in, and they are all three have this very small team that actually work on innovation. This is to avoid being killed by the innovation killer. Are there advantage of kiosks? And that's what most banks are doing, right? Wow, all this financial crisis, the leading banks tend to actually put money in the innovation space, while other banks are fighting, right? All the chaos and complexity and uncertainty. Innovation is always a leap of faith, right? It is not something that, it has to be 100% certain that you're going to make money. There's no such thing as 100% certain. Don't boil the ocean, right? Boiling the ocean is going to be terrible because you get nothing and be one step ahead of the industry. But this is not something that banks are very good at. Banks are always one step behind the leader. They are always one step behind. They always tell me, I'll wait for other banks to actually do something, and then I'll copy, I'll make it better. Right? It is the same. I always use the example of McDonald's and Burger King. I've been eating McDonald's since I was very young. And every time I'm hungry, I think of McDonald's. I never think of Burger King. Even though Burger King burgers are much tastier. Right? But we don't. Okay? But so if you're going to be an innovator, you're going to be a leader in the industry, you need to be the leader rather than the follower.